The Academic Staff Union of Universities, abbreviated as ASUU, has become a well-known educational platform that brings pains to Nigerian students as it fights for its own rights from the federal government. The union embarked on a strike in 2022 during the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration due to poor funding, University Transparency Accountability Solution, renegotiation of 2009 ASUU-FG agreement, and inconsistency in integrated personnel payroll information system. ASUU has gone on 16 strikes, which always lead to the shutting down of academic activities, causing constant disruption in the Nigerian education system. The union accused the government of not adhering to their needs because they are not affected, which implies the selfishness of the Nigerian government. However, with subsequent demands and renegotiation meetings held by the union and federal government, ASUU is also demanding for their salaries of 6 months to be paid, although they were not working. There are other reasons that indicate that the lecturers are just working for their own selfish benefit. They include the privilege of migration, carrying on with their personal educational activities in private universities or universities beyond the Nigerian borders, working at multiple schools, quality of lecturers and their teachings, amongst others. Fred Ogbole, an alumnus of Federal Polytechnic Ida, Kogi State, who is currently a travel and marketing consultant and an entrepreneur, decried the inefficiency of ASUU and its lecturers.
There is a word that said when the capacity of a man is overloaded, he or she becomes inefficient, right? So as a lecturer in a public university, as much as there is an agitation for them to be fixed, there is a need for them to also be called to order. I remember that in the last 2-3 years, that has been fixed already, where lecturers cannot lecture in more than one university. But right now, we still have lecturers. That means some of those laws were not implemented with strict adherence. Some of those lecturers staying abroad and you are supervising a project of a student in Nigeria, either through a Zoom call. I really do not know whether they learned like through Zoom. If you're taking a software course through Zoom, it's understandable. You're taking lectures that are supposed to be done in classroom, except the part of the school curriculum, to do classes on Zoom. Somehow the impact will not be felt. Somehow the real knowledge will. Federal government job in my own country, it seems like where everybody will go and not do anything and earn. If you run a business or you are an entrepreneur, if you don't do anything, your business will die and your business will fold up. So if we can run the system like that, we should have a better one running in a very short time. Countries like Canada fix ministers based on their competence, based on their field. We've had time where Accountant General of the Federation is Minister of Information and stuff like that. Now, what then do we expect of lecturers? So, I believe that with the reactions from a lot of people and things that are happening, me personally, I believe that the change is coming because the word change has been avoided for quite some time simply because it was used to deceive us in 2015 and it was used to deceive us also in 2019.
Nevertheless, one cannot ignore the fact that there are lecturers that are truly affected by the strike. Others being affected are business owners, parents, and students. Fred, while speaking with our reporter, tells his story of how he had to survive the tough educational system in the country.
I did a lot undergraduate days. Every year I was experiencing strike till I graduated. So I spent 7 years instead of 4 years course. So that was like 3 additional years roaming around schools. Because the more you are in school and you are experiencing strike, you are unstable to do anything consistent that will fix your life. Sometimes if you get a job, okay, I could remember in 2020 during the lockdown, earlier before the lockdown, I rushed to Lagos. I wanted to learn a skill. I started learning the skill. They said, okay, they've called off strike. I already paid for it, done everything. I had to pause that and go back to school. So I was schooling in Kogi State, but the times I was schooling, I wasn't coming to school. I was going out literally looking for money, leave Edo State to school, leave Sokoto State to school, leave other states to school. So I wasn't like schooling from home. So I was always traveling, and when it's time for school to resume, I find my way from there to school, and when school is on break, I find my way back to where I get to look for money to sort out school bills.
Stephanie Igboanugo is currently a student of the Federal University of Oye-Ekiti State who had 2 months to her convocation day, says the strike affected her business.
It has affected my business in a way because when you start a business here, you have a target audience. And target audience, which my target audience were students, and then the strike hit. So where I am right now, no students, right? And I don't even know anybody where I am, so it's just tough. Unfortunately for us, we're already in the second semester, so just like 2 months to graduation, and the strike just hit, boom, like that, and it's like, especially the ones that are in the second semester. And another tough thing about this strike, when we resume eventually, I don't know, I'm a theater and media arts student, so it's like we had productions pending and film productions, stage productions, and all of that. I don't want to imagine that we still have to go down that road. So that's why in the end I'm just saying they should use our first semester results to grade our second semester results and let everybody move on with their lives. And this has not only affected the students that are currently in the university or the students that, this also affects secondary school students and all of that, because JAMB is still holding, you get. So it keeps piling up like this. If we resume after my set, there's no how they want to do it. There will be 200 level, 200 level, and that would just be like so crowded.
On the issue of rent renewal and wasted rent, here is what the pair had to say.
This wasted rent issue, we're going to fight it out this time around, because the rent cannot waste. I wasted rent in 2020, the Corona/ASUU year, and I'm not wasting another rent again. Last I'll be going from my VC's house to school, because I can't do that. That's like, no. It just cannot work. I don't know. Maybe when they call off the strike, they will have a separate meeting with landlords and all to allow us, for we that we just have 2 months. I mean, some people actually fought to pay like part of their rent, that's to pay for half of the year, and now I feel like they will have to pay the other half, because landlords are just like, well, your load is in the house, so how is that our concern? You're still using the rent. And it's like, it's not just fair. And where I school, landlords don't even do all those quick notice, blah blah blah. They just para.
My mom paid my rent just 1 year. The rest I was paying it myself. So it was quite difficult. Imagine a student where you get to look for money to pay for your rent, and when you come back, the same landlord tell you your house rent has expired, you need to renew it, because the deal is year per year, not per section, no per. So it's per year. So the moment that year is off, and ASUU will keep you in 100 level for 3 years, or for 2 years. You have to renew rent twice. Well, basically, when it comes to real estate, I think my time in school, there were time our SUG president had to organize a meeting with all the landlords outside the school to make them understand how they need to grant certain leverage or certain fairness to the occupant of their lodge, simply because these students paid for a section and not a year. But in most cases, such issues are hard to address, simply because these men built their house on their own and they are doing business, and they're expecting a return at every point. So I still believe I will still drive the issue back to the federal government, in the sense that they are doing their business to earn a living. So you can't literally tell them what to do, because there is no structured system to address small business or private business in Nigeria. So if federal government has a system where they have comfortable lodges and comfortable hostels for students, I don't think there will be need for lodges, because lodges are more like intrusions, and we've had challenges where students go to lodge and they were attacked on the road. We've had challenges where students stay in the lodges and they are not safe. What happens to our hostels? Our hostels are battered, shattered. Some of them, you can't literally do any reasonable thing in there, simply because the money made for the hostels that are supposed to be standard are siphoned somewhere. And there are kids who go to London to school, enjoy the same hostels, and they still luxury hostels the same way we have standard hotels in our major cities in this country. So I believe that if the federal government gives certain percentage of attention and sincerity to the educational system, we won't have issues of lodges per se, because students who are on strike currently for the past 7 months, their house rent is running, and when they get back to school, they are expected to renew the rent. And we can't blame the people who owns the lodges, because they are doing business.
Helpless students are left to wait, think of how to get busy with their lives, and struggle to finish a 4-year study in 6 or 7 years with no platform to voice their grievances. Well, there are a few platforms, but the government and ASUU have turned deaf ears to their pleas. Fred speaks on the issue as he criticizes the efficiency and effectiveness of the leaders.
It's called, you go there, you do matriculation, and you post it, and you're happy. And the country is going down per day, and we borrow money to service their salary. In a country where our politicians are high, are the ones that earns more across the world anywhere. Even US, which is the world power, does not pay politicians like that. Currently, it seems these old men have used our life to play, because every young man below 30 that fall within the range of the 70% of the young Nigerians we have in this country are either suffering from ASUU or suffering from lack of getting the basic education. And most of these politicians have their children in UK, in US. They like good education, but they can't bring it here. Countries like Seychelles has 92% literate. What that means is, imagine a country that you have 92% people that are educated, well educated, and they have access to jobs, and they have access to so many things. Over times that president of our country has come out publicly to tell us there are no jobs. Go learn a skill. Okay, me presently, I have skills. How do you now get money to run a business in a system where they encourage you to go learn a business, to go learn how to do something, right? You now know how to do something and you've gained mastery at it. How do you now start business? Or is it the 10,000 naira funds they shared sometimes for political cajolement? I don't know how to call it. It doesn't really make sense, right? Because students in this country don't have a constructive way of sending their requests to the government. Most of their most powerful used tools are social media, and it takes them for jokes. Some of them feel the social media does not really send the message. Thank God it's becoming a revolution and is sending a message to them. The only room students will have to sue ASUU in that kind of case is when school comes back and lecturers do not do their work. Now, first, if you want to sue ASUU per se, which is more like an assumption, what's the legal channel in suing ASUU? ASUU is like a body set up, more like an Aluta movement, set up within lecturers to have a one voice. They are not a registered federal government department per se. Students do not have an organized system like that, because the kind of system we have, how do we put together a complaint and channel it to a particular direction? So I feel I understand the positions of students, very, very key, and I understand the position of lecturers. But first, if lecturers can be brought back to school, then you get to talk about, are the system going to be managed? Are they going to be taught the things they are supposed to be taught? Because if students want to really sue ASUU, how do they do that? What are the systems they will use to get out justice? It will just be like the federal government trying to play the same game they have been playing. They just throw complaints on irrelevant things. Throw complaints. How will someone, a grown-up man, come out and say money was used to clear bush? It's the same strategies. They just bring out irrelevant points to distract people from doing the real thing. Because telling students to sue ASUU, how is that going to be possible? Students will leave the school and say, okay, ASUU, let's go to court. Why did you went on strike and stuff like that? So we need to, at certain point, accept the fact that the federal government are taking us like uneducated system and bringing up irrelevant things just to distract us and not do the real thing. We just need the real thing done and get people back to school. Because when there is another blow up or an uproar of another challenge in terms of people hitting the streets, the country they are enjoying, or the country me and you we are enjoying, will become one of the worst places to stay. We've seen things like that happen in other countries where people take over power and average people in country find their way back to government house and stay there. There was a recent scenario like that in a country. So we wouldn't want the country to get to that. We wouldn't want in a country to get to that, because right now everybody's emotion is dragged into the system. And when there is emotion, there is sentiment. When there is emotion, people get to remember religion. When there is emotion, people get to remember my father, my brother, and so on.